Chapter 9. Daniel. The newspaper hit the Guildhall table hard enough to rattle tankards. Daniel stood over it, scarred face twisted in raw fury, the front page headline still visible between his clenched fists. The cult of the even sun, eradicated. Authorities discover the bodies of 4 out of 5 members in a gruesome bloodbath. One of the names listed among the dead was Massimo. "What the fuck?" Daniel roared. He crushed the paper in both hands, the pages crumpling into a tight, ruined ball. Conversations across the hall died mid-sentence. Adventurers turned. A few of the newer registrants took an instinctive step back. Daniel was a warrior of light level 6, a melee focus class that traded broadcasting ability for raw physical power and a limited number of daily smites. He could heal himself in small amounts, enough to stay in a fight, but he had never been the party's primary support. That role had belonged to Massimo. His remaining party sat frozen at their usual table. Junjio Asako, the summoner level 5, stared at the crumpled newspaper with a tight expression. His hands were already half raised, as if ready to call a spirit or familiar for answers that would not come. He had relied on Massimo's barriers to keep his summons from being torn apart in the deeper crypts. Without that protection, every deployment became riskier. Randall Hugh, the monk level 5, sat very still. His usual calm had hardened into something colder. He had fought beside Massimo for over a year. The two of them had developed a rhythm, Randall controlling space while Massimo kept everyone standing. That rhythm was gone now. He exhaled slowly through his nose and said nothing. Abdul al-Fahid, the thief level 4, leaned back in his chair with a humorless smile that didn't reach his eyes. He had always treated Massimo's holy reputation as useful cover for the party's less savory jobs. Now that cover was dead on the riverbank, and the headlines were calling him a cultist. Abdul's fingers tapped once against the table, already calculating how much harder locks and traps would become without a reliable healer watching their backs. Daniel's breathing came hard and fast. He looked around the hall like he was searching for someone to blame. "Every healer in this town is garbage," he snarled. "You hear me? Garbage. Massimo was the only one worth a damn, and now he's gone. Don't get me started on how I don't run dungeons anymore. I do, but not on paper, and if anyone tells the Empire, I'll find a way to drag you down with me." Someone near the bar made the mistake of murmuring something about cults and the state of Daniel's illegal party. Daniel's head snapped toward the sound. "Shut the fuck up about Massimo," he shouted. The force of it carried across the entire Guildhall. Whatever he was doing, it was for a good cause, even if he was mixed up with those cultists. "You don't know a damn thing about it." Silence answered him. Byron, behind the registration counter, kept his eyes carefully on his paperwork. A few higher-level adventurers exchanged glances but said nothing. Daniel's reputation as an official Empire trainer and as someone who could end a career with a single report bought him a wide margin of tolerance. Daniel hurled the crumpled newspaper onto the floor and kicked a chair hard enough to send it skidding across the stone. "We need a new healer," he said, voice still rough with anger. "Someone who can actually keep up in the crypts. If any of you soft-handed lightcasters think you're good enough, step up. Otherwise, stay out of my way." No one stepped up. Junjio finally spoke, quiet but steady. "Replacing him won't be simple. The good healers are already locked into parties. The rest?" He trailed off, not needing to finish. Randall gave a single nod. "We'll have to adjust the runs. Shorter pushes, more caution." Abdul shrugged, though the motion carried little of his usual ease. "Or we start looking outside Millbrook. 3 days' ride to the next town with a decent temple roster. Maybe longer." Daniel dropped back into his chair hard enough to make the wood creak. The rage was still there, but underneath it, something colder and more practical had begun to settle. Massimo was dead. The river crypts were still there, and the party that had cleared them cleaner than almost anyone else in town had just lost its center. "Find me a replacement," he told the 3 of them. "Fast." The Guildhall slowly returned to uneasy conversation, but the mood had shifted. Everyone had seen the newspaper. Everyone had heard Daniel defend a dead cultist. And somewhere outside the hall, the 5th member of the cult of the even sun was still unaccounted for. Abdul looked at the 3 of them, voice low and hard. "We've been grinding those crypts for months. We were this close to speed clearing the whole thing. Best loot drops we've ever seen. And still none of us pushed the other dungeons, because deep down we were all afraid to. Massimo did the heavy lifting. Every party in this town leans on their healer in this way." He slammed a knife lightly against the table. "Divine magic became a huge crutch. We don't need another holy caster. We just need a healer. Doesn't matter what kind. We already cleared River Crypts. Why the fuck you think we need to keep speedrunning the same dungeon over and over again? Daniel's face twisted with dark fury. Abdul, you think you're a leader now? A level 4 thief of all the classes? You're just our trap hound and that's it, he continued. You're the one who's afraid of dying in a dungeon, not me. Then, how it comes you always have us run the same dungeon? To me, you as the leader of our party is afraid of anything that isn't undead. The guild hall slowly returned to uneasy conversation, but the mood had shifted. Everyone had seen the newspaper. Everyone had heard Daniel defend a dead cultist and admit how much the entire town had depended on him. And somewhere outside the hall, the 5th member of the cult of the Even Sun was still unaccounted for. End of chapter 9.